Mike's on.
All right, we're coming to you live from the Town Fair Tire Studios, powered by Town Fair Tire. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. A little after 4 today as we get ready. We don't have the Met lineup yet tonight, so we're waiting on that. Yankees and Nats this evening. Already gave you both theirs. Now, just seeing the stuff with the U.S. Open, we'll do a lot on that tomorrow. And some of these players even staying in, trailers on the grounds. I mean, actually, you got world-class guys who can afford to live anywhere. I'm talking about world-class players. I mean, top 10 players who are staying in, like, campers on the grounds just so they don't have to deal with the traffic. I mean, that you never hear about that. And I don't remember hearing that last time at Shinnecock. I mean, is it that? I mean, maybe I missed it with the traffic last time. Maybe this was a story and I don't remember, but I've never heard the story about the traffic as much as I've heard this year. The stories this year are unbelievable about the traffic. I mean, that's all you're hearing about is, usually they find plenty of things to complain about at U.S. Open. They'll complain the course too hard. They'll complain that, the greens are too fast. They'll complain that the crowd's too rowdy, especially in New York. You'll hear that. But rarely do I hear them complain this much about the traffic and getting to tee times. But you've heard that a lot the last couple of days. I mean, it's been brought up everywhere by the players. A couple of football notes. We told you about mini camps starting today, obviously, and, Giants and Jets. And obviously all eyes on Beckham. Hey. Everyone's just trying to relax. Let the Giants and Beckham figure this out. It's not like it's that hard a thing to figure. It happens all the time. They'll figure it out. If he wants to try and push the issue, he'll push the issue. If he doesn't, he won't. That's all. They'll figure out how this is going to work out. I mean, the Giants are going to do what's smart here. Listen, they don't want to commit, I'm sure, a phenomenal amount of money until they see him back and healthy. I wouldn't either with a guy who, if he had played last season, it's a different story. Well, you know what? He didn't. So with that being the case, I want to see him play. And before I commit an incredible amount of money here. So there's a couple of ways to handle it. We all know what they are. We all know the mechanisms that are available to the Giants as far as what they can do. And obviously we know the mechanism available to Beckham, which is he can hold out. So, I mean, we all know what it is. So we'll see what happens as we get closer to training camp. You're not going to see him do anything right now anyway. They're going to they're going to bring him along slowly, as we know. As far as around the league, the other story is Luck came out and threw in front of the media, but 10 passes, 10 yards is not going to in any way make anybody think, oh, I don't have to worry about Luck anymore. I saw him; he looked great. He threw 10 passes. About 10 yards in distance is my understanding. I mean, that's not exactly what you were looking for. I think we need to see a little more than that before we're ready to believe he's back ready to play. So they said, well, he's got 6 weeks to work on it. Yeah. Well, seems to me it's a long shot he'd be ready for the season. I hope he is. The league needs him. I mean, you don't want to lose players of that magnitude. You want your top quarterbacks to play. I mean, the league needs top quarterbacks. But we'll see what happens. But that doesn't sound great to me. It really doesn't. John in New Hampshire. What's up, John?
Hey, Mike. Look, I want to ask you a question about Nick Zito, but real quick. You remember yesterday a guy calling saying that John Smoltz compared DeGrom to Kershaw?
Yeah, he did say that, yes.
Yeah, that was I heard the game. That was through 119 games, I think.
Through their first 119 starts.
Yeah. That's
okay.
What Smoltz said. He said you'd have a hard time finding big differences.
For the first, and Kershaw did have a couple of years before he became the big star.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. He didn't mention that part. Okay. Yeah, that changes it dramatically. Go ahead. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I was trying to get through it.
Because otherwise, I'm like, how can you be? What do you compare them? One guy's 21-4 with a 1.80 ERA.
This is how guys get misquoted. Anyway, listen. I don't know if years ago. I don't know how many years ago. Nick Zito, I think, had 5 horses in the Derby, and none of them hit the board. Did that kill his career?
No, Nick, listen, first of all, Nick was around forever. He had a very long career. I don't remember Nick having 5 in the Derby. He might be, I mean, I've seen Pletcher have that many on a couple of occasions. I don't remember Nick having that many. You might be right, and I'm missing the year, but I don't remember. I mean, I remember having a couple, but I don't remember having that many ever. All right, here's the Met lineup. Conforto's leading off. Frazier, Nimmo, Cabrera. So Cabrera's healthy. He's in the lineup, batting cleanup. Bruce in right field. Mesoraco, Dominic Smith at first base, Rosario at short, and Wheeler. So, again, Conforto, Frazier, Nimmo. Cabrera, Bruce, Mesoraco. Smith at first, Rosario, and Wheeler. That the Met lineup this evening. So there you go. With now Conforto moving to the top of the lineup, Frazier into the 2, Nimmo, who was the 3, and you can see that the problem right now for the Mets is when they do face a left-handed starter, they have really no answers because what they do have now is mostly. What punch they do have, even though it doesn't produce very much, is left-handed. Rich in Staten Island. What's up, Rich?
Mike, how are you?
Good. What's happening?
Mike, I work in the city 3 days a week, and I have never, ever seen traffic like this. It has gotten so bad that in the last 2 years, I don't even take cabs cross town anymore.
Well, I can tell you, I drive here. It was actually one of the things that actually hastened my leaving was the traffic. It had gotten to the point where it was taking so long to commute every day.
Yeah.
The traffic, and having driven into the city every day from Long Island for 10 years, I think we've been here 10 years now. It has gotten so much worse than it used to be. And 9 years now? 9 years. So it has gotten so bad. It's unbelievable. And our traffic is insane. I totally agree. It really is. And it seems worse. It seems worse. Now, maybe it's me because, but it seems worse to Long Island. No, it seems worse to Long Island than it does to Westchester or Connecticut or Jersey.
Mike, this is all a direct result of Uber and Lyft.
I don't know if that's true or not. Why would that be the case?
Mike, you know what? My secretaries, all my staff, even almost the entire office building, nobody uses cabs anymore. They all have Uber and Lyft on their phones.
But are they going to the suburbs? Those cars?
Well, sometimes they're going cross town. Most of the time, they're going up to Westchester, to Staten Island, or to Queens.
I don't know. I think part of it is. One of the things is it seems like there's construction on almost every road. That's one of it. And I know that puts people to work, which is a good thing. But we seem to have construction on almost every road. That's the first thing. And the roads always do need to be fixed because of the enormous amount of potholes that we get. I mean, this year especially, there was some unbelievably bad roads. Stretch City Expressway was just unbelievable this year. They had to be fixed. If they weren't fixed, you wouldn't have a car. I mean, it was that bad. But the traffic has gotten incredibly worse. And here, I don't remember the last time they were in Southampton, which they were in Shinnecock, 7 years ago? 8 years ago? When they were in Shinnecock? I don't remember them complaining about the traffic the way they're complaining about the traffic this time. I remember them complaining about the cost. I remember them complaining about number 7. I don't remember them complaining about the traffic like they are. Was it 2004? Okay, so it's more than that. It's 14 years. So it's a long time. It's longer than I thought. It's 2000. Wow, it's 2004. Doesn't seem that long ago. Man, 2004. Wow. So it is. It's longer than I thought. But it seems like now, today, and yesterday, the topic at that golf course with the players is traffic. And how outrageous the traffic has been and how they can't even make tee times. One guy was quoted saying, the directions said 17 minutes, and it took me 2 hours and 45 minutes. And I said, well, welcome to our fair city. And that's not even our fair city. You're talking about Southampton. You're talking about, 100 miles, well, let's see, 50, 60 from the city, what is it? Southampton would probably be, 60 miles? No, more than 60, right? Probably, 65, 70 miles to Southampton. From Midtown to Southampton, 70 miles?
So from here to Shinnecock is 87.
87, okay, I always said 70. Okay, 87 miles, okay. 87 miles. John in Tom's River. What's up, John?
Hey, Mike. How are you?
What's happening?
How's it going?
Good.
I want to ask you a question. I don't know if you were talking to. I wanted to ask you a question about LeBron, about the NBA.
About who?
about LeBron.
Go ahead.
With the NBA.
Yeah.
You know, after the whole mistake or whatever, when he left Cleveland years ago with the whole ESPN thing and going to Miami, don't you think he's just smart at this point? You know, I mean, this whole game, where is he going to go? L.A., Philly. Let him just announce he's staying in Cleveland. It's not going to be good for him just to go to another team and make another superstar team. Let him stay where he is. Let him get a few free agents, maybe to come join him in Cleveland. The only thing at this point, he won his titles in Miami. He won in Cleveland. Just stay where he is and finish off his career in Cleveland.
Listen, my feeling on the subject is if he didn't win in Cleveland, he could never leave Cleveland. But since he has won in Cleveland, and he has given that team an incredible amount of economic, productivity. They've had series after series, full house after full house. I mean, he's given them an incredible amount, a windfall in terms of money. He doesn't owe that franchise anything. If he chooses to go somewhere for his last 2 or 3 years, so be it. He could never have left if he hadn't won. Never. He would have gotten destroyed. So he had to go back there and win. He went back there and he won. He won in a very emotional, dramatic way, and he won. So he had to do that. So, I mean, listen, he's given that franchise everything you could possibly ever ask for. You put him back on the map. He gave them a championship. He's put them in the finals every year. So he's given them everything they could ever ask for. He's done that. Now, does he owe them anything? He does not. I don't know what he's doing. I have no idea if he's staying, leaving. I know these other. Listen, I don't care about a player off the court. I don't get involved in that stuff. It's his business what he does. I mean, I'm not one to get into that stuff. Who cares? I mean, I have no idea if it's true, not true, what. There's all these new rumors about LeBron now and his, and what's going on in his life and what went on in his life and accusations against him and that are going to be hurtful to his family and, about an affair and everything else. I mean, listen, that's his business. That's not mine. I could care less. And that doesn't interest me. It doesn't even interest me. Bores me to even talk about it. From Sweeney, Sanchez won't start today or tomorrow. The reason why Sweeney talked to Boone told him that he won't start today or tomorrow. Slump is a reason, but also banged up, has a little bit of a calf problem. Let's be honest. They're giving him a couple of days to clear his head. That's what it really is, which is not a bad idea. He has looked rotten at the plate. He has been off balance. He's chased pitches in the dirt. This is a guy who looked great hitting breaking balls in the past, who has been, just looked awful, has struck out on a lot of bad sliders in the dirt now. But basically can hit tonight, can pinch hit. They'll give him today and tomorrow off. I think that's a smart move from Boone. His backup is hitting right now. His backup is hitting a ton. Sanchez isn't hitting. Give him a couple days to clear his head. I think it's a smart idea. So that's where we are. Ken in Oceanside, what's up, Ken?
Hey, Mike. Listen, a professional driver I am for 30 years.
Okay.
I'm a vendor in New York City. I live on Long Island as well.
So
and
what do you mean a professional driver? You're a limo driver?
No, I'm not a limo driver. I'm a vendor for New York City restaurants. But here's
what do you mean?
Problem.
What do you mean? What does that have to do with driving?
A lot, because I need my work van every day to go from Long Island to Manhattan.
Okay.
So do all the fish guys, the meat guys, the electricians.
Okay.
But because the Long Island Railroad is just ridiculous in the last couple of years, my feeling is...
what does that mean, ridiculous? What's wrong with it?
Every day there's something on the news that Penn Station's packed because the Long Island Railroad has an issue here. And so I think people are getting in their cars and they're driving to work that they used to take the train. And they're going to sit their butt in an office all day. They should be, and the knuckleheads that are running that city, I mean, this is a sore spot with me. Us vendors need to get in that city to provide goods and services that city desperately needs on a daily basis.
Right.
But I look around in the LIE before I get to the tunnel and the 59th Street Bridge, and it's car.
What time do you go to the city? What time do you go to the city?
It depends. I'm in the restaurant industry.
Well, normal. Is it early in the day? Is it late in the day?
I try to leave after 9, just after 9. I think I'm going to beat the quote-unquote rush hour. That's not true anymore. Rush hour is 24/7. Because I do night jobs, too.
Listen, there's a couple of things in the city that have always been pet peeves of mine. I'll give you one. Here's the first one. They should have a rule in this city that you can only deliver goods between between midnight and 6 in the morning. That's it. That should be it. You should be able to do it those 6 hours and get all the deliveries done. Now, if you tell me, wait, I'm in a different business and I have a time-sensitive issue, I'll listen for that. But if you're another guy who just is delivering, stuff for office buildings or this and that, and, the stuff that you see people double parked, every truck on every block, if you didn't have these side streets blocked all the time with people delivering stuff, you would have more, movement of traffic through the city. The problem is you got cars parked.
Chicago does that.
And I think it makes sense to me. I think, and the other thing I would do is, and I thought of this a while ago, I would build a pedestrian bridge up from one street, over the street, and then down so that they could walk all the time on really busy streets, and then let the cars pass underneath it where there's a little, it doesn't have to be high, just so the cars can get underneath it, and then there wouldn't be people walking, because people walking causes a tremendous problem also.
Well, this bike paths are also a problem. That's Bloomberg's idea. And now this idea of cutting off Broadway, which used to be a highway, and people are reading the New York Times in the middle of Broadway under a palm tree. I mean, whoever's been... I know the names of the city planners, and they don't know what they're doing, and the new one doesn't either. And so,
well, the traffic is the traffic's insane, but you know what? It's also insane getting into the city, as you know, because going back and forth. And I think it's worse to Long Island. I don't know if it's true, if it's as bad to Jersey or as bad to Connecticut or as bad to the Westchester. It seems it's worse to Long Island than it does anywhere else. At least that's what it seems to me.
I don't know the answer, but I think the congestion pricing, though, remember when you had to have 2 or 3 people in the car to go into the city?
Right.
Maybe they should bring that back, because I'm on my way home now, and every car has one person in it, and I know they just park their butt in an office
and
all
you
day.
Think it's because of the fact that they're not happy with the service on the railroad?
I've heard people say that. I'm taking my car now.
Ken, maybe you're right, but I'll tell you this, the traffic has become a crisis, and it's funny. Here in the metropolitan area, now you're talking about Southampton, which is a different kind of traffic, and it's way out on Long Island. And we know Hampton's traffic can be insane on the weekends, but this is now during the week. These guys couldn't even get into that golf course. And we haven't even had the main event yet, and they couldn't even get into the golf course. They couldn't even get in there for the practice rounds. So imagine if you're tomorrow and you're teeing off early, you're going to be getting to that course really early. If you're a player and you're teeing off at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, you're going to make sure you get there plenty early because you can't miss your tee time. John in Levittown, what's up, John?
Hello?
Yeah, John, what's up? Yes, hello? John.
Yeah, hey, Mike.
Yes.
My beef with all the traffic, I think it's just that it's been 100 years since they built anything new. It's the same bridges, same tunnels for 100 years. And it's probably 10 times the population as 100 years ago.
And you think we've just run out of space?
Oh, without a doubt.
You might be right. Listen, I don't. You're telling me it's more cars? Maybe you're right. I don't know the answer. But I'll tell you this. Having done it for 9 years, and having driven in the old days when we were in Astoria, having driven those roads to Astoria for all those years. So I've come in this direction from Long Island to Astoria to Long Island to the city for 30 years. The traffic has never been worse than it is now, and it has been a nightmare for, I'd say, the last 5 years. An absolute nightmare. That's how bad it is. And you just hear it. It's funny to hear anyone else complain about it like the players are out in the Hamptons complaining about it for Shinnecock this week. But the traffic is just insane. It really is. Vin in Babylon, what's up, Vin?
Hey, Mike, I just left Shinnecock going out just as the traffic. I had absolutely no problem driving out. I mean, I drove out from Babylon. It took no time at all. At
what time?
About 10 o'clock, and we just finished.
Well, I mean, if you heard the players, they were having major problems. I mean, according to them.
I think they're coming from east and coming west. But Mike, as far as the course goes, if it plays like it look today with 15-mile-an-hour winds, Mike, the rough just off the fairway is up to your knees. It's as thick as I've ever seen it.
Yep.
If you dropped a ball, you couldn't even find the ball. It's so thick.
What hole were you hanging out at?
All over the place, but we saw 7 where they had the craziness.
Right.
in 2004.
Right.
But I'll give you an example. On 16, which is a par 5.
Right.
Not one pro. It's a 600-yard par, but not one pro came within 150 yards of the green. The wind was blowing on a par 5.
So nobody was near being on it. Well, 600 yards is a lot hard to hold to get on it too. But I mean,
the fellas that were there yesterday said Sergio and a couple other guys hit it, but the wind was really going. But kind of a typical Shinnecock wind, maybe 15 miles an hour.
Right.
I'm telling you, I could be wrong. I play a lot of golf, but I would be shocked if 1 or 2 under.
And the first cut was bad.
The first, the fairways look.
The fairways are fine, right? They're okay. Right.
They look fine. The first cut was about 6 to 10 feet and was playable. But after that, there was nothing but rough that was 2 feet deep. I mean, if it was guys like you and I, Mike, if we missed our shot,
you need a wedge.
We'd be lucky to get it back to the fairway.
Yeah, that's what you try and do. Yeah, you try and get a fair wedge and get it back to the fairway. That's all you can do. It's like being in fescue. That's all you can do is just get it back in the fairway.
But it wasn't like I played in Scotland a few years ago.
Right.
It wasn't like where we watched the British Open and they could get it out. They weren't even trying in the practice round. How'd
the greens look?
The greens look like they're going to be icy again. I mean, not crazy. It's supposed to rain a bit tomorrow. That could slow them down.
They need that. But if they don't get that, if the players don't get that tomorrow, they're going to have fair screens on Thursday, boy.
I mean, I don't think the USGA is going to let it happen again because it was such an embarrassment.
No, they won't. Listen, they already said they won't have a problem like they had last time with 7. They won't have that problem again.
But I mean, when you look at 7 today, 7 is playing downwind. For the pros, I think it's about 175. They were hitting 7 and 8 irons. Even they today couldn't hold the green. I mean,
really,
it's such a tough hole. It's a bowl. I think they call it's like Pinehurst number 2.
Yep.
So it is. Even though it looks like a big green, the effective hitting area is like 10 feet.
And 18 is brutal. 18, I saw 18 on TV last night is absolutely brutal.
Well, 18 is really hard, but 9, which is a parallel hole, is actually harder because 9 is really dead uphill. 18 looks very similar, but it doesn't have the same height of carry on the second shot. But yeah, the place is. It's just.
Well, you know what? If even par wins the tournament, I like that. I like that for a change. I don't like when they win it at 25 under. So I like a course like that. I know the pros don't, but you know what? I like seeing a course where the pros look like mortal players, where everything is not hitting it to the 5 feet every hole.
I couldn't agree with you more, Mike. What was the famous phrase from 30 years ago? We're not trying to torture the pros. We're the best players in the world. We're trying to identify them.
Absolutely. Identify them and test them for a change. Let them not be able to hit every tee and every, put the ball in the fairway, put the ball 6 feet away, and either hit the putt or tap it in for a par. We see all those weeks where they're 19 under par. We don't need to see that. Let's see a week where they have to play great golf to be even par. I like that. More and more, this course sounds like a course to me, and I'll give you a pick tomorrow, but it sounds like a course to me for the scrambling player. And that guy, that leaves a lot of players out to me. It puts a certain kind of player into the mix. Dan in Southampton, what's up, Dan?
Hey, Mike, thanks for taking my call.
What's happening?
Just to kind of give you an idea, my place is actually over in, if you're familiar with the area, in Watermill.
Yeah, I know it.
And what people don't realize that a lot of the summer rentals are already taken. People don't realize some of that. So that actually creates more of a problem.
Well,
but
I gather the ones that are staying in a hotel now, I don't know what hotels they're identifying that they're staying in.
Yeah, Riverhead by the outlets you've got a Hyatt, you've got a Hilton Garden Inn, you got a couple of hotels.
See, I don't know where the rank and file. Forget the superstar player. I don't know where the average player is staying. But I know a lot of them was saying that it was taking them outrageous amounts of time to get to the course.
Well, see, what they were doing is, they had so much time 14 years to figure out the logistics of this. Well, they were busing people in. As far as the people I know that are going to it,
right.
They're busing them in from the airport at West Hampton.
Gobreski,
Okay.
Gobreski,
Right, Gobreski, yeah. And so what it is that's pretty much probably either that or the train. But the ones that are coming in, but the problem is, you got the buses and all that congestion there, and then some of the people you can't really get a whole lot. If you're looking at like Bridgehampton, that's what I'm saying, Bridgehampton, East Hampton, Amagansett, or let's say you're coming from the opposite direction.
It's just, that's one lane. It's one lane, too.
And you got to figure, are you going to, now listen, you can make a boatload of money in a 6-day tournament, right? On some of these rentals are going for, would I rather rent it out for that amount of time? Or if I have someone who's going to rent it from May through September, so you got a 12 to 16-week period, and those are already taken. So the cream of the crop is already gone by Memorial Day weekend.
They just, listen, they don't want to rent those crazy places anyway, but they want to rent something that can get them to the course at a reasonable time is what they're looking for, And the Tiger's staying in his boat. He's staying, he announced today that he's on his yacht, that he brought his yacht up and he put it in the harbor there.
Yeah, he, obviously, based on his, previous times there, he got smart about it, but some of these other guys, that's why they're staying in trailers or.
Oh, I know. Day is staying on the course in a trailer. And, you're talking about one of the top players in the world staying in a trailer on the course. Because it just cuts down his travel time. It's amazing how much that comes into play here. The U.S. Open will do more on it. We'll do some baseball with Mark DeRosa right after this.